Welcome back to Stellar Eureka, where today we're unlocking the centuries-old secrets of Amish gardening, wisdom that modern gardeners are only just rediscovering. Imagine growing an abundant garden without chemicals, expensive equipment, or complicated techniques. That's the Amish way, a method that has fed families throughout droughts, depressions, and changing times using nothing but simple, natural approaches that work with nature, not against it. From turning kitchen scraps into garden gold to reading nature's own planting calendar, these 50 gardening hacks work whether you have acres of farmland or just a few pots on your apartment balcony. So grab your notebook, you'll want to remember these practical, time-tested techniques that'll transform how you grow. Let's discover 50 Amish gardening hacks you'll wish you knew sooner. Let's start with something that might sound strange but delivers explosive growth: burying fish scraps under your plants. A secret Native Americans taught early settlers that the Amish still use today. The technique is brilliantly simple. Dig a hole about a foot deep, place fish remains inside, heads, bones, or even whole small fish. Cover with several inches of soil and plant directly above. As the fish breaks down, it creates a perfect slow-release superfood that feeds roots for weeks. Tomatoes, corn, and squash planted above fish scraps grow dramatically stronger, greener, and more productive. It's like giving your garden a natural growth formula straight from the ocean. If you're concerned about animals digging or odors, simply bury the scraps deeper or freeze them first. This ancient approach might seem unusual, but the results are undeniable. Gardeners consistently report harvests that are noticeably more abundant with virtually no extra expense. Your most productive garden awaits, and we're just getting started. Next, we'll explore how to turn kitchen waste into garden gold. In an Amish garden, waste is a foreign concept. Table scraps, chicken manure, fallen leaves, if it once lived, it goes into the compost pile. This dark, crumbly mixture is the engine that powers their famously productive gardens. Building your own pile is simple. Layer browns like straw and dry leaves with greens like vegetable peels and grass clippings. Add some water, turn it every week or two, and let nature work its magic. The result isn't just fertilizer, it's a living ecosystem that transforms your soil from the ground up. Good compost does more than just feed plants. It makes soil richer, fluffier, and full of life. It helps your garden hold moisture longer and resist pests and disease naturally. Amish families usually let their piles break down over several months, but even a quick 3-bin system works wonders. Use it in planting beds, mix it into potting soil, or spread it around growing crops. You'll spend less on store-bought fertilizer and grow healthier food too. While compost builds long-term soil health, sometimes plants need immediate nutrition. That's where our next technique comes in. In an Amish garden, you'll rarely see bare soil between plants. Instead, they cover it with protective layers of organic material, what gardeners call mulch. This simple practice saves countless hours of work while dramatically improving plant health. Straw, hay, dried leaves, grass clippings, all these materials serve the same important purposes when spread around your plants. They block weeds before they can sprout, lock moisture in the soil during hot weather, and regulate soil temperature to protect roots. As these materials gradually break down, they feed the soil just like slow-release fertilizer. The practice couldn't be simpler. Once your plants are a few inches tall, spread a 2 to 4 inch layer of your chosen material around them, keeping it pulled slightly away from stems. That's it. No special tools or techniques required. With soil properly covered, you'll water less often, pull fewer weeds, and harvest healthier crops. It's one of the most effective time savers in the garden. Now let's look at how something you'd normally throw away after breakfast can give certain plants a crucial nutrient boost. Amish households never throw away eggshells. They save them for their gardens. Why? Because each eggshell is packed with calcium that plants need, especially tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. The approach is wonderfully simple. Collect shells in a container, let them dry, then crush them into small pieces. Sprinkle these around your plants or mix them into planting holes. As they slowly break down, they release calcium that helps prevent blossom end rot, that disappointing black spot that ruins tomatoes when calcium is lacking. There's another benefit too. Crushed eggshells create a scratchy barrier that slugs and snails hate crawling over. A ring of shells around vulnerable plants can dramatically reduce damage from these pests. For seedling starters, you can even plant directly in rinsed half shells filled with soil. When it's time to transplant, put the whole thing in the ground. The shell will break down and feed the plant as it grows. It's a perfect example of the Amish philosophy. What looks like waste is actually a valuable resource. Coming up after the break, another kitchen leftover that can supercharge your garden. And it's something most people pour down the drain. That morning cup of coffee or tea can pull double duty in your garden. The Amish waste nothing, and these breakfast leftovers make excellent plant food. Coffee grounds are rich in nitrogen and help improve soil structure. They're particularly good for acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, and many vegetables. Simply sprinkle a thin layer around plants or mix grounds into your compost to balance out dry materials like leaves. The grounds break down quickly, releasing nutrients while attracting earthworms, nature's soil improvers. Used tea leaves work similarly. They can be scattered directly around plants or steeped in water for a gentle fertilizing tea your plants will love. The tannins and minerals in tea gradually enrich the soil and improve its ability to hold water. Both coffee grounds and tea leaves make excellent additions to compost piles and can even deter certain pests. It's a perfect example of the Amish approach, finding value in what others throw away. Next, we'll tackle one of the biggest challenges in small gardens: limited space. The Amish solution might surprise you. Space is precious in Amish gardens, where families grow food to last all year. Their solution? Growing up instead of out by training vining plants onto vertical supports. Beans, peas, cucumbers, tomatoes, and even small melons can be grown vertically using simple trellises, stakes, or strings. This approach not only saves significant garden space, but also improves air circulation, reducing disease problems while making harvesting easier. No more hunting through sprawling vines for hidden vegetables. You can create supports from almost anything: wooden stakes, salvaged branches, cattle panels, or even strings hung from overhead supports. The famous Florida weave method uses twine woven between posts to support tomato plants without expensive cages. When vines grow upward, their fruits develop cleaner and more uniform, with fewer pest problems. Plus, you can grow twice as much food in the same space. A perfect solution for today's smaller yards and gardens. With your garden now expanding upward, our next hack focuses on what might be the most misunderstood garden activity: watering properly. The Amish approach to watering is counterintuitive but extremely effective. Water thoroughly but infrequently, rather than giving plants a light daily sprinkle. This technique encourages roots to grow deeper into the soil where moisture remains even during hot spells. Plants with deep roots become naturally drought-resistant and more stable. In contrast, frequent shallow watering creates weak, surface-level root systems that dry out quickly and make plants dependent on constant attention. In Amish gardens, watering is done at the base of plants, not overhead. This reduces disease problems by keeping leaves dry while delivering moisture directly where it's needed. Morning is the best time to water, as this gives plants all day to absorb moisture and allows foliage to dry before evening. How do you know when it's time to water? Simply stick your finger into the soil up to the second knuckle. If it feels dry at that length, it's watering time. If it's still damp, wait another day. This mindful approach saves water, time, and creates stronger plants. Now we'll explore how certain plants can help each other thrive when strategically paired together. In Amish gardens, plants aren't arranged randomly. They're thoughtfully paired to help each other thrive. This practice, called companion planting, creates natural partnerships that boost growth and reduce pest problems without chemicals. The classic example is the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash planted together. The corn provides a natural trellis for beans to climb, beans enrich the soil with nitrogen that feeds the corn, and squash spreads along the ground, its large leaves suppressing weeds and conserving moisture for all three plants. Other powerful combinations include tomatoes with basil, improving flavor and repelling insects, carrots with onions, each repelling the other's pests, and marigolds with vegetables, deterring harmful nematodes in the soil. Not all plants make good neighbors, though. Onions stunt peas, potatoes and tomatoes compete for nutrients, and certain herbs can overwhelm nearby vegetables. Learning these relationships helps create gardens where plants support rather than compete with each other. Up next, the secret tea recipe Amish gardeners use to give plants an immediate growth boost. While compost builds soil over time, sometimes plants need an immediate nutrient boost. The Amish solution? Homemade liquid fertilizers they call teas. Powerful plant food you can make from materials you probably already have. The simplest version is compost tea. Place a shovelful of finished compost in a burlap sack or old pillowcase. Submerge it in a bucket of water and let it steep for 24 to 48 hours. The resulting dark liquid contains readily available nutrients and beneficial microorganisms that feed plants and soil life. Other effective options include teas made from weed plants like stinging nettles, aged manure, or even banana peels. Each brings different benefits. Nettles provide balanced nutrition, manure adds nitrogen, and banana peels boost potassium for flowering and fruiting. Apply these natural boosters by watering around plant roots or spraying diluted versions directly on leaves during active growth. Plants respond quickly, often showing greener leaves and improved vigor within days. It's nature's perfect plant food, free, sustainable, and remarkably effective. After the break, we'll reveal how Amish gardeners know exactly when to plant without ever checking a calendar. The Amish don't rely on printed planting calendars. They watch nature's own signals to determine when to plant. This approach, sometimes called phenology, connects planting times to seasonal events in your specific location. Traditional wisdom includes planting peas when forsythia blooms, beans when lilacs flower, and corn when oak leaves reach the size of a squirrel's ear. These natural indicators align perfectly with soil temperatures and conditions needed for successful germination, far more accurately than calendar dates that can't account for early or late springs. Other signs include waiting to plant heat-loving crops until you can comfortably sit on bare soil or when certain wild plants flower. These observations connect gardeners to the natural rhythms of their specific location and microclimate. Some Amish communities also consider moon phases, planting above-ground crops during the waxing moon and root crops during the waning moon. While science debates the effectiveness, generations of gardeners swear by these rhythms. This attentive approach reminds us that successful gardening means working with nature's timing, not fighting against it. Our next hack prevents problems before they start with a simple rotation system anyone can use. In Amish farming, growing the same crop in the same spot year after year is a recipe for trouble. Instead, they systematically move plants to different areas each season, a practice that naturally maintains soil fertility and prevents pest buildup. The concept is straightforward. Different plant families take different nutrients from the soil and attract different pests. By rotating where you plant them, you break disease cycles and allow soil to recover naturally. A basic rotation might follow heavy feeders like tomatoes and corn, with soil builders like peas and beans, then light feeders like root vegetables, and finally, green manures to rejuvenate the soil. This 4-year cycle prevents any single nutrient from becoming depleted and disrupts the life cycles of pests and diseases. Even in small gardens, rotating plant families between different beds or containers makes a noticeable difference in plant health and yield. It's one of the simplest yet most effective ways to maintain garden productivity year after year. When pests threaten their gardens, the Amish reach for a solution that's as effective as it is simple: garlic and onion spray. This natural repellent keeps many harmful insects away without harming beneficial ones or leaving toxic residues on food. To make it, blend several garlic cloves and half an onion with a cup of water. Strain the mixture, add a drop of mild dish soap to help it stick to leaves, and dilute with more water. The resulting spray can be applied directly to plants troubled by aphids, caterpillars, beetles, and other unwanted visitors. The strong sulfur compounds in garlic and onions confuse insects and mask the scent of your crops, making them harder for pests to locate. Many Amish gardeners also plant garlic and onions throughout their gardens as permanent pest deterrents and to provide additional harvest. This spray works best applied in the evening and may need to be reapplied after rain, but its effectiveness makes it worth the effort. It's perfectly safe for people, pets, and food crops, unlike many commercial alternatives. Next, we'll explore why some of the most important garden workers have 6 legs. The Amish understand a fundamental garden truth. Not all insects are enemies. In fact, many are valuable allies that control pests more effectively than any spray. The key is creating an environment that attracts and supports these helpful visitors. Ladybugs devour aphids by the thousands. Lacewings eat thrips, mites, and small caterpillars. Ground beetles hunt slugs and cutworms. Pollinators like bees ensure vegetables and fruits develop properly. By welcoming these helpers, you create a natural balance that reduces pest problems automatically. To attract beneficial insects, plant flowers throughout your vegetable garden, especially varieties with small clustered blooms like dill, fennel, zinnias, cosmos, and sweet alyssum. Provide shallow water sources with stones for insects to land on when drinking. Avoid broad-spectrum pesticides that kill helpers alongside pests. You can even create insect hotels with hollow stems, pine cones, and rolled cardboard to provide nesting sites for solitary bees and predatory insects. These simple structures support beneficial populations year-round. This approach turns your garden into a self-regulating ecosystem where nature does much of the pest control for you. After the break, we'll explain why fall might be the most important season for garden preparation. Amish gardeners don't wait for spring to prepare their beds. They do the important work in fall, when the growing season ends but the soil is still workable. This head start creates perfect growing conditions months before the first spring planting. After final harvests, clear away spent plants, spread compost or aged manure across the surface, and mix it lightly into the top few inches of soil. Some gardeners cover beds with a layer of leaves or straw for winter protection, while others plant cover crops like winter rye or clover to prevent erosion and add organic matter. This fall preparation accomplishes several things at once. Organic matter begins breaking down over winter, enriching the soil naturally. Weed seeds and pests exposed to winter weather are less likely to survive, and come spring, the soil is already loose and fertile, ready for planting without the rush of spring preparation. The result? You can start planting weeks earlier in pre-prepared soil that's warmer, more fertile, and less compacted than soil that's been sitting untouched all winter. Random trimming won't improve your garden, but strategic pruning, as practiced by Amish gardeners, can dramatically increase yields and plant health. The key is understanding why and where to make each cut. For tomatoes, removing lower leaves prevents disease splash up from the soil, while pinching certain side shoots, called suckers, directs energy into fruit production rather than excess foliage. Squash vines benefit from tip pruning to encourage bushier growth and more female flowers. Even herbs like basil and mint produce better when regularly trimmed to prevent flowering. Fruit trees and berry bushes receive special attention, with Amish growers focusing on open centers that allow light and air to reach all branches. Dead, diseased, or crossing branches are always removed first, followed by carefully selected cuts that improve structure and production. The guiding principle is simple. Every cut should serve a specific purpose, whether improving airflow, directing growth, or focusing the plant's energy where it's most beneficial. The Amish see weeds differently, not just as enemies to eliminate, but as indicators that reveal important information about your soil. Before pulling them, take a moment to observe what's growing and what it might be telling you. Dandelions and plantain often indicate compacted soil that needs loosening. Chickweed thrives in rich, fertile conditions. Good news for vegetables planted there. Sorrel or moss suggest acidic soil that might need balancing for certain crops. Each volunteer plant offers clues about soil conditions you can't see. This mindset transforms weeding from a mindless chore into a diagnostic tool. Rather than fighting an endless battle, Amish gardeners ask, why is this weed here? What conditions are allowing it to thrive? Then they address the underlying issues, aerating compacted soil, adjusting pH, or improving drainage. Sometimes the weeds themselves are beneficial. Dandelions bring up deep nutrients with their long taproots, and clover adds nitrogen to the soil. The Amish might even selectively allow certain weeds to remain where they're not competing with crops. When you do need to clear an area of weeds, our next hack shows how to do it without chemicals or endless digging. When the Amish need to clear an area of weeds or convert lawn to garden, they don't reach for chemicals or spend hours digging. Instead, they use a remarkably effective technique, covering the area with plain cardboard and organic materials. This method is simple but powerful. Lay flattened cardboard boxes directly on the ground, overlapping edges to prevent light from reaching below. Then cover the cardboard with several inches of compost, aged manure, leaves, or straw. The cardboard blocks light that weeds need to grow, while gradually decomposing to add organic matter to the soil beneath. Within a few months, the area underneath is transformed. Weeds die off, earthworms multiply as they feed on the decomposing cardboard, and the soil becomes loose and fertile. When planting time arrives, you can cut holes directly through the partially decomposed layers and plant into the enriched soil below. This technique, sometimes called sheet mulching, eliminates the need for tilling, preserves soil structure, and turns waste materials into garden assets. Speaking of earthworms, let's explore why these humble creatures might be your most important garden allies. Amish gardeners know the truth about earthworms. They're nature's perfect soil improvers, worth their weight in gold. These humble creatures aerate soil, break down organic matter, and leave behind nutrient-rich castings that plants love. Creating a worm-friendly garden isn't complicated. First, avoid chemical fertilizers and pesticides that harm worm populations. Keep soil covered with organic mulch to provide food and maintain moisture. Minimize tilling, which disrupts worm tunnels and can cut worms in half. Add compost regularly to feed soil life, including your underground workforce. For quick results, you can directly introduce earthworms to poor soil, but in a healthy garden, they usually find their way naturally. Some Amish families even maintain worm bins, where red wiggler worms transform kitchen scraps into premium vermicompost for seedlings and garden beds. The result of a worm-rich garden is striking. Soil becomes darker, looser, and more fertile, while plants grow stronger with less fertilizer needed. It's like having thousands of tiny garden helpers working 24 hours a day. After the break, we'll reveal a simple, homemade tool that ensures perfect plant spacing every time. Ever wondered how Amish gardens maintain those perfectly straight, evenly spaced rows? The secret is a simple homemade tool, the planting board. This ingenious device ensures consistent spacing without measuring each time you plant. The concept is straightforward. Take a flat board about 4 to 6 feet long and mark it with evenly spaced notches or holes matching your desired plant spacing. Lay the board across your prepared bed, poke holes at each mark with a stick or dibber, drop in seeds or seedlings, and move the board down the row to continue. The result is precise spacing with minimal effort. This tool is especially valuable for small seeds like carrots, radishes, and lettuce where consistent spacing prevents overcrowding. Different boards can be created for different crops and spacing needs, from close planted greens to wider spaced cabbage or broccoli. Beyond efficiency, proper spacing improves airflow between plants, reduces disease problems, and allows each plant the right amount of light and nutrients to thrive. This simple Amish trick dramatically improves germination rates, soaking seeds before planting. This practice gives seeds a head start by softening their protective coatings and jump-starting the growth process. Larger seeds like peas, beans, corn, and squash benefit most from this technique. Place them in a shallow bowl of room temperature water for 8 to 12 hours before planting, never longer than 24 hours or they may begin to rot. For stubborn seeds like parsley or morning glories, add a tiny splash of hydrogen peroxide to the water to further soften the seed coat and kill any fungal spores. When soaked, seeds absorb water and begin the germination process. The result? They sprout days faster than dry planted seeds and show much higher success rates, especially in cool spring soils. Some Amish gardeners take this a step further by adding liquid seaweed or compost tea to the soaking water, providing a gentle nutrient boost even before the seed sprouts. Once seeds are plump and ready, plant them immediately in moist soil. Now let's look at how the Amish start seedlings without expensive equipment. Forget expensive seed starting trays. Amish gardeners start plants in materials most people throw away: yogurt cups, egg cartons, paper cups, milk jugs, and even folded newspaper pots. This approach saves money while reducing waste, perfectly aligned with Amish values of thrift and resourcefulness. The process is simple. Collect suitable containers, clean them if necessary, and poke drainage holes in the bottom. Fill with seed-starting soil, plant your seeds at the proper depth, and place in a sunny window or under grow lights. Label each container with plant variety and date. Popsicle sticks or cut-up plastic containers make perfect markers. For truly biodegradable options, make pots from newspaper folded around a small jar, or use empty eggshell halves or toilet paper tubes. When seedlings are ready for the garden, these can be planted directly in the ground where they break down naturally, eliminating transplant shock. This approach makes starting dozens or even hundreds of plants affordable for anyone and keeps usable materials out of landfills. Our next hack turns waste plastic into miniature greenhouses that protect your early seedlings. When spring weather turns unpredictable, Amish gardeners protect tender seedlings with a clever hack, turning plastic bottles into personal plant protectors. These improvised cloches shield young plants from frost, wind, and temperature swings during those crucial early weeks in the garden. The technique couldn't be simpler. Cut the bottom off a clear plastic bottle. 1-liter sodas or gallon jugs work perfectly. Remove the cap and place it over seedlings like a miniature greenhouse. During warm days, remove the cap or lift the edge slightly for ventilation. At night, replace the cap to trap heat around the plant. These protective covers create a microclimate several degrees warmer than surrounding air, allowing earlier planting and faster growth. They're particularly effective for heat-loving plants like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, giving them a protected start while night temperatures are still cool. As a bonus, these mini greenhouses deter pests like cutworms and protect tender seedlings from heavy rain or hail. When plants outgrow their covers, simply store the bottles for next season. Up next after the break, unlock the power of banana peels, the surprising superfood your garden plants crave. Before you throw away that banana peel, consider this. It's packed with potassium, phosphorus, and calcium, nutrients that help plants flower and produce abundant fruits. Amish gardeners have long recognized this free resource as garden gold. There are several ways to use banana peels in your garden. The simplest is to chop fresh peels into small pieces and bury them an inch or two beneath the soil near tomatoes, peppers, roses, or other flowering plants. As the peels decompose, they release nutrients directly to the roots. For a quicker approach, Make banana peel water. Chop peels into small pieces, soak in water for 1 to 3 days, then use this nutrient-rich water for regular plant watering. The resulting solution feeds plants immediately, giving a noticeable boost to flowering and fruiting. You can even dry and grind peels into a powder to sprinkle around plants throughout the growing season. This slow-release approach provides continuous nutrition without the risk of burning plants. In Amish flower and vegetable gardens, you'll rarely see faded, spent blooms hanging on plants. That's because gardeners practice deadheading, the simple act of removing flowers as they fade. This quick task triggers plants to produce more blooms instead of setting seed. The principle is simple but powerful. A plant's primary goal is reproduction. Once flowers are pollinated and begin forming seeds, the plant considers its mission accomplished and slows or stops producing new flowers. By removing spent blooms before seed formation, you trick the plant into creating more flowers in an attempt to complete its reproductive cycle. This technique works on most flowering plants, from marigolds and zinnias to basil and lettuce. Simply pinch or snip faded flowers just above the nearest set of healthy leaves or buds. For vegetables like beans, frequent picking encourages more production for the same reason. Regular deadheading can extend the flowering period by weeks or even months, resulting in significantly more blooms and harvests throughout the season. Now let's explore a natural weed killer that costs just pennies to make at home. The Amish avoid chemical herbicides, but they still have effective weapons against weeds. One of their simplest solutions comes straight from the kitchen: plain white vinegar. This natural weed killer works through its acidity. The acetic acid in vinegar pulls moisture from plant tissues, causing them to dry out and die. It's particularly effective on young annual weeds with shallow root systems, especially when applied on hot, sunny days when the drying effect is maximized. For best results, use regular 5% household vinegar in a spray bottle, applying it directly to weeds while carefully avoiding garden plants. Some Amish gardeners enhance the formula by adding a tablespoon of dish soap per gallon to help the vinegar stick to leaves, and occasionally a cup of table salt for stubborn weeds, though this should be used cautiously as salt can affect soil. Remember that vinegar kills indiscriminately. It will damage any plant it contacts, so apply carefully. It's perfect for weeds in sidewalk cracks, gravel areas, and between garden rows, but less suitable for weeding within dense plantings. After enjoying your morning cup of tea, don't throw away those used leaves. They're packed with nutrients your garden will love. Amish households, known for wasting nothing, have long recognized the value of spent tea leaves as gentle, balanced plant food. Used tea leaves contain nitrogen, potassium, and various trace minerals that gradually release as they decompose. They are particularly beneficial for acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, and rhododendrons, though most garden plants respond well to them. Simply sprinkle cooled tea leaves around plants or lightly work them into the top inch of soil. Beyond nutrients, tea leaves improve soil structure by retaining moisture and attracting earthworms. The tannins in tea can also help make certain nutrients more available to plants, particularly iron, which improves leaf color and plant vigor. You can even make tea for your plants by steeping used leaves in water overnight to create a gentle liquid fertilizer for seedlings or container plants. It's a perfect example of the Amish approach, finding value in what others discard. Coming up, an ingenious solution for growing heavy fruits on vertical supports. When growing melons, squash, or pumpkins vertically to save space, Amish gardeners solve a common problem: fruits breaking off vines with simple homemade slings. These supportive hammocks cradle growing fruits, relieving strain on stems while allowing vertical growing even for heavy varieties. Making fruit slings requires nothing fancy. Strips of cloth, old t-shirts, pantyhose, or mesh produce bags work perfectly. Cut pieces long enough to wrap around developing fruits with extra length for tying to trellises or supports. As fruits grow, the slings stretch and support the increasing weight. This technique is especially valuable in small gardens where space is at a premium. Growing vining crops upward dramatically increases production in limited areas while improving air circulation and reducing disease problems. The slings ensure heavy fruits don't tear down under their own weight. For largest fruits like full-sized pumpkins, use stronger materials like burlap or cloth diapers. The investment in time is minimal, but the payoff in saved space and increased production is substantial. Next up, the strategic planting method that protects your main crops from harmful insects. Sometimes the best defense is a clever diversion. Amish gardeners use trap crops, sacrificial plants specifically grown to attract pests away from main crops. This strategic approach saves the harvest while reducing or eliminating the need for pesticides. The concept is simple. Certain plants are irresistible to specific pests. By planting these attractant crops near your main garden, insects will target them instead of your valuable vegetables. For example, nasturtiums draw aphids away from tomatoes, radishes lure flea beetles from cabbage family crops, and blue Hubbard squash powerfully attracts cucumber beetles and squash bugs. Plant trap crops slightly earlier than main crops and position them at the garden's edge or between rows. Once pests concentrate on the trap crop, you can remove and dispose of heavily infested plants, breaking the pest cycle. This approach acknowledges that completely eliminating pests is unrealistic. Instead, it directs them where they'll do least harm while preserving natural balance in the garden ecosystem. After the break, we'll explore how to preserve plant genetics perfectly adapted to your garden. In Amish communities, seed saving isn't just a hobby. It's a tradition that ensures food security and preserves heritage varieties perfectly adapted to local conditions. By selecting and saving seeds from your best-performing plants, you create a garden that gets better every year. Start with open-pollinated varieties, not hybrids, which won't grow true from seed. Choose the healthiest, most productive plants with qualities you value: disease resistance, early production, exceptional flavor, or weather tolerance. Let fruits fully mature before collecting seeds to ensure viability. Different plants require different techniques. Tomato seeds need fermenting to remove their gel coating. Pepper seeds can be dried directly. Beans and peas should dry on the plant until pods rattle. Clean all seeds thoroughly and dry completely before storing in paper envelopes or glass jars in a cool, dark place. Label everything with variety name and collection date. Through this practice, you'll develop plants uniquely adapted to your specific growing conditions while preserving varieties that might otherwise disappear from commercial seed catalog. That container of Epsom salt in your bathroom cabinet has a secret garden identity. It's a powerful plant booster packed with magnesium and sulfur, nutrients essential for chlorophyll production and overall plant health. Amish gardeners have long used this simple remedy to strengthen plants naturally. For a general growth boost, dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt in a gallon of water and water plants with this solution monthly. For more targeted application, sprinkle 1 teaspoon dry around the base of each plant before watering it. Either method delivers magnesium directly to plants that may be deficient. The magnesium helps plants better utilize nitrogen and phosphorus already in the soil, while sulfur contributes to protein production and disease resistance. Unlike many amendments, Epsom salt provides immediate results, often showing visible improvement within days of application. Taking the banana peel hack a step further, Amish gardeners often place peels directly in planting holes beneath young plants. This method creates a slow-release feeding system that delivers nutrients exactly where roots need them throughout the growing season. Before planting tomatoes, peppers, roses, or other heavy feeders, place a fresh or dried banana peel in the bottom of each planting hole. Cover with an inch of soil to prevent the roots from contacting the peel directly, then plant as usual. As the peel gradually breaks down, it releases potassium, phosphorus, and calcium, exactly what flowering and fruiting plants need for optimal production. Some gardeners speed the process by blending peels with water to create a slurry that breaks down more quickly. Others dry and grind peels into a powder that can be mixed with planting soil. Each approach delivers the same valuable nutrients, only the release rate differs. This direct placement ensures plants receive consistent nutrition throughout the season, right where they need it the most, at the root zone. Now let's focus on preventing the most common tomato problem with a simple kitchen leftover. Remember those eggshells we mentioned earlier? They deserve special attention around tomato plants, where they prevent a common and disappointing problem: blossom end rot. Those dark, sunken spots that ruin otherwise perfect tomatoes. Blossom end rot occurs when plants can't access enough calcium, even if it's present in your soil. The solution is adding calcium in a form plants can readily use. Crushed eggshells do this perfectly while improving soil structure as they break down. For tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, all susceptible to this condition, incorporate finely crushed eggshells into planting holes and sprinkle more around plants monthly throughout the growing season. The calcium releases gradually, providing a steady supply when fruits are developing, exactly when plants need it most. Beyond preventing blossom end rot, calcium strengthens cell walls throughout the plant, improving overall disease resistance and producing firmer, longer-lasting fruits after harvest. Our next hack shows how a common fireplace byproduct becomes valuable garden medicine. In Amish communities where wood-burning stoves and fireplaces are still common, wood ash becomes a valuable garden resource rather than waste. This gray powder is rich in potassium and calcium while having the ability to raise soil pH, making it perfect for naturally sweetening acidic soils. Most vegetable garden plants prefer slightly acidic to neutral soil, pH 6.0 to 7.0. If a soil test shows your soil is too acidic, wood ash provides a free alternative to purchased lime. It works more quickly than limestone and adds beneficial potassium that lime doesn't provide. Apply wood ash by sprinkling a thin layer around plants that prefer higher pH, like garlic, onions, asparagus, and most brassicas, cabbage family. Alternatively, incorporate it into compost piles to balance acidity from fruit scraps and coffee grounds. Always apply ash dry and never use it near acid-loving plants like blueberries or potatoes. Since a little goes a long way, apply sparingly. About 5 to 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet annually is sufficient for most gardens. In Amish farming, chickens aren't just egg producers. They're garden preparation experts that till, weed, and fertilize all at once. Their natural scratching and pecking behaviors perfectly prepare soil for planting, while adding high nitrogen manure. The technique is simple but requires timing. After harvest and before planting, allow chickens controlled access to garden beds. They'll eagerly devour weed seeds, insect eggs, and plant debris while turning over the top few inches of soil with their scratching. Their droppings add nitrogen-rich fertilizer exactly where it's needed. For safety and garden protection, use mobile chicken tractors, bottomless enclosures, or temporary fencing to keep birds in designated areas. A few days in each section is usually sufficient to clean and prepare the soil. Always remove chickens well before planting, as they'll happily eat seeds and seedlings too. This partnership exemplifies the integrated approach of Amish farming, where animals and crops work together in mutually beneficial relationships. After the break, we'll revisit one of the most powerful growth-boosting techniques that uses an ancient gardening secret. This might sound unusual, but some Amish gardeners use ordinary aspirin to help plants fight off disease naturally. This simple remedy triggers plants' internal defense systems, similar to how vaccines work in humans. Aspirin contains salicylic acid, a compound plants naturally produce when under attack from disease or pests. By providing this compound externally, you essentially put plants on alert, activating their defense mechanisms before actual threats appear. The result is stronger disease resistance and often more vigorous growth. To use this hack, dissolve 1 uncoated aspirin tablet, 325 milligrams, in a gallon of water and spray plants every 2 to 3 weeks during the growing season. Target the solution on leaves where disease typically begins. This works especially well for preventing fungal problems like early blight on tomatoes or powdery mildew on squash. Always use plain uncoated aspirin, not enteric-coated or other varieties, and test on a few leaves first to ensure your plants don't show sensitivity. Next, we'll explore a soil building method that requires no digging whatsoever. Lasagna gardening may not sound like an Amish technique, but this no-dig method of building rich, fertile soil aligns perfectly with their practical, resourceful approach. The technique creates instant garden beds by layering organic materials that decompose in place. Start with a layer of cardboard or several sheets of newspaper directly on grass or weeds. No digging required. Wet this layer thoroughly, then alternate green materials, kitchen scraps, fresh grass clippings, manure, with brown materials, dried leaves, straw, shredded paper. Add a few inches of compost or soil on top if you plan to plant immediately. Over time, these layers break down into rich, loose soil full of organic matter and beneficial organisms. The process mimics how soil forms naturally in forests, where layers of organic material decompose from the top down. This method not only builds superb soil, but also suppresses weeds, requires no tilling, and puts yard and kitchen waste to productive use. Many Amish families use this approach when creating new garden areas or rejuvenating tired soil. Now let's look at protecting your plants from a garden threat that many gardeners overlook. Wind is often overlooked as a garden challenge, but Amish gardeners know it can dramatically affect plant growth. Strong winds damage delicate plants, increase water loss, and lower temperatures, problems they solve with simple, effective windbreaks and shelters. The most basic approach uses stakes and burlap, or agricultural cloth, to create temporary barriers around vulnerable plants or entire garden sections. More permanent solutions include strategically planted shrubs, tall ornamental grasses, or sunflowers on the windward side of gardens. For individual plants, especially newly transplanted seedling, improvised shelters make a remarkable difference. Simple structures made from bent willow branches covered with row cover fabric or repurposed materials like old window screens positioned to block prevailing winds protect plants while allowing sunlight and rain to reach them. These protective barriers don't need to be elaborate. Even a line of corn or sunflowers planted as a living windbreak significantly reduces wind stress on more delicate vegetables grown in their lee. Up next, an unexpected approach to garden pest management that creates a perfect, natural cycle. In Amish farming, problems often become opportunities. Take garden pests. Instead of reaching for sprays, many Amish gardeners collect bugs by hand and feed them to chickens, creating a perfect, waste-free pest management system. The approach is brilliantly simple. Gather pest insects by picking them directly off plants, knocking them into containers, or using traps. Aphids, caterpillars, cucumber beetles, squash bugs all become protein-rich treats for chickens, who eagerly convert these garden troublemakers into eggs and more manure for future garden enrichment. Collection methods vary with the pest. For larger insects like tomato hornworms or Colorado potato beetles, hand-picking works well. For aphids or smaller pests, tap affected branches over a container or use a soft brush to sweep them into a collection dish. Even bug-infested leaves can go straight to the chicken yard. This approach forms a closed-loop system where pest problems become a resource. Chickens get supplemental protein, and gardeners gain both pest control and increased egg production. Amish gardens maximize production through strategic layering, combining tall and short plants in the same space to utilize light, nutrients, and water at different levels. This three-dimensional approach dramatically increases yields from limited garden space. The concept is straightforward. Pair plants with different growth habits and light needs. Tall corn provides support for climbing beans, while partially shading heat-sensitive lettuce growing below. Tomatoes can be interplanted with basil, which thrives in the dappled light beneath tomato foliage. Radishes mature quickly alongside slower-growing carrots, harvesting before the carrots need their space. This method mimics natural plant communities, where species naturally grow in layers from canopy to ground cover. Each plant occupies its own niche, accessing resources at different heights and depths without competing directly. Beyond space efficiency, this approach confuses pests, improves pollination, and creates beneficial microclimates that protect sensitive plants from harsh sun or wind, truly working with nature rather than against it. After the break, we'll reveal how to ensure continuous harvest throughout the entire growing season. Rather than planting everything at once, Amish gardeners spread their plantings across weeks or months, a practice called succession planting. This approach ensures steady harvest throughout the season instead of overwhelming gluts followed by nothing. The technique is simple but powerful. Divide seed packets into smaller portions and plant at regular intervals. Fast-growing crops like radishes, lettuce, spinach, and bush beans can be planted every 2 to 3 weeks throughout their growing season. For crops with longer growing periods, plant early, mid, and late season varieties simultaneously to spread the harvest window. This method prevents the common problem of having too much ripening at once, reducing waste while ensuring your kitchen has fresh produce throughout the growing season. It also provides insurance against weather problems. If one planting fails due to an unexpected frost or heavy rain, others planted a few weeks earlier or later often survive. Amish gardeners keep simple calendars, noting planting dates and expected harvest times. Even in small gardens, this approach dramatically extends the productive season without requiring additional space. In Amish workshops and garden sheds, you'll often spot a bucket filled with sand and a little vegetable oil near the door. This simple mixture isn't for cooking, it's for cleaning and preserving garden tools, making them last for generations. The technique is remarkably effective. After use, plunge the shovels, hose, pruners, and other metal tools into the sand-oil mixture a few times. The sand scrubs away dirt and beginning rust, while the oil leaves a protective coating that prevents future corrosion. No harsh chemicals or special cleaners required. To make your own cleaning bucket, fill a sturdy container with coarse sand and mix in enough vegetable oil or linseed oil to lightly dampen the sand, not so much that it pools. Place it near your garden entrance for convenient use after each gardening session. This simple habit extends tool life dramatically while ensuring clean cuts that reduce disease spread between plants. Well-maintained tools also require less physical effort to use, making gardening easier and more enjoyable. Now, let's learn about nature's perfect garden fertilizer, available for free if you know where to look. In Amish farming communities, where horses still provide transportation and field power, manure isn't waste. It's precious garden fertilizer. Properly aged horse manure creates garden soil that produces exceptional harvest year after year. The key word is aged. Fresh manure contains ammonia and salts that can burn plants. Amish gardeners compost horse manure for at least 6 to 12 months before use, creating a balanced, nutrient-rich amendment that improves both clay and sandy soils. The aging process allows beneficial microorganisms to break down the material while eliminating weed seeds and potential pathogens. Well-composted manure adds nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium while dramatically improving soil structure, water retention, and aeration. Use it as a 1 to 2 inch layer on garden beds in fall or spring, or mix it into planting holes for heavy feeding crops like corn, tomatoes, and squash. Even gardeners without horses can often find this garden gold free from local stables. Just ask if they'd like help removing their manure pile. This might sound unusual, but Amish gardeners have long recognized that walking barefoot through the garden creates a deeper connection with the land while providing practical benefits. This simple practice helps you notice subtle changes that might otherwise go undetected. Bare feet feel soil moisture levels, temperature variations, and soil compaction directly. You'll immediately notice areas that need attention, dry patches that require watering, wet spots with drainage issues, or compacted pathways that need loosening. Early morning barefoot walks often reveal pest activity through dew patterns or slight plant movements. Beyond practical benefits, this direct contact fosters mindfulness, slowing you down and encouraging closer observation of plant health, beneficial insect activity, and overall garden rhythm. Many gardeners report reduced stress and deeper appreciation for their gardens through this practice. You don't need to do this daily. Even occasional barefoot walking provides valuable insights that can improve your gardening results and satisfaction. Coming up, we'll reveal a tool that transforms tedious weeding into quick, almost effortless work. If there's one tool that makes Amish gardeners smile, it's the Stirrup hoe, also called a scuffle or hula hoe. This simple implement transforms weeding from back-breaking drudgery into quick, easy work that can be done standing upright. Unlike conventional hoes that require chopping motion, the Stirrup hoe features a rectangular, stirrup-shaped blade that glides just below the soil surface with a gentle pushing and pulling motion, like sweeping a floor. As you move it, the sharp blade severs weed stems from their roots without disturbing deeper soil layers or bringing new weed seeds to the surface. This tool works best on young weeds in loose soil, though it handles larger weeds with repeated passes. Many Amish gardeners make weekly circuits through their gardens with stirrup hoes, catching weeds when they're tiny and keeping soil consistently clean with minimal effort. If you've struggled with weeding in the past, this tool might completely change your gardening experience. It's efficient, gentle on your back, and satisfying to use. Mint isn't just for tea. In Amish gardens, it serves as a powerful, pleasant-smelling pest deterrent. The strong aromatic oils in mint leaves naturally repel many problematic insects, including ants, aphids, cabbage moths, flea beetles, and even rodents like mice. Strategic mint placement can protect vulnerable crops naturally. Plant mint near the entrances to your garden, between rows of vegetables, or in containers placed near problem areas. The scent confuses many pests, masking the smell of their preferred target plants and disrupting their ability to find hosts. However, mint comes with an important caution. It spreads aggressively through underground runners. Always plant it in contained areas, dedicated beds with barriers, or pots sunk into the ground to prevent it from taking over your garden. Different mint varieties, peppermint, spearmint, chocolate mint, repel slightly different pests, so consider planting several types. As a bonus, you'll have fresh mint available for kitchen use all season, making this hack both practical and pleasurable. Now, let's explore why flowers deserve prime space in your vegetable garden. Amish vegetable gardens aren't just practical, they're also beautiful, with flowers scattered among food crops. This isn't merely for appearance. It's a strategic approach that improves vegetable production while adding joy to the gardening experience. Flowering plants attract essential pollinators like bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects that control pests. Vegetables like squash, cucumbers, tomatoes, and beans produce significantly more fruit when properly pollinated. Strategic flower placement throughout the garden ensures pollinators visit every corner. Certain flowers also provide specific benefits. Marigolds deter nematodes in the soil. Nasturtiums draw aphids away from vegetables, and cosmos attract predatory wasps that control caterpillars. These companion relationships create a balanced garden ecosystem that's less susceptible to pest outbreaks. Beyond practical benefits, flowers bring beauty that transforms garden work from chore to pleasure. The Amish understand that a garden should feel both body and spirit, producing food while creating moments of joy and beauty in daily life. Next, we'll explore something completely different, a gardening mindset that may be the Amish's most powerful secret of all. Perhaps the most countercultural aspect of Amish gardening is their unhurried approach, a mindset increasingly valuable in our fast-paced world. Amish gardeners don't rush through garden tasks as items to check off a list. They engage fully with each activity, finding satisfaction in the process itself. This slower rhythm builds deeper observation skills, patience, and connection with natural cycles. Tasks are spread throughout the week rather than crammed into weekends. Morning and evening garden visits become quiet rituals rather than frantic work sessions. This approach reduces stress while actually improving garden outcomes through more attentive care. When you garden without hurry, you notice subtle changes from plants. Slight wilting that indicates water needs, discoloration that suggests nutrient deficiency, or insect activity before it becomes problematic. These early interventions prevent minor issues from becoming major problems. The Amish recognize that gardens operate on nature's timeline, not human schedules. Working in harmony with these rhythms creates both better results and greater satisfaction. Want to grow fresh greens weeks before your neighbors? And keep harvesting long after the first frost? In Amish communities, cold frames are the secret to year-round eating. These simple wooden boxes, topped with old window panes or clear plastic, trap heat and shelter young plants from frost and cold winds. Think of them as mini greenhouses that cost almost nothing to make. Many Amish families start lettuce, spinach, or radishes inside them as early as February and keep hardy greens going into December. The design is brilliantly simple, a frame that slopes toward the south to catch maximum sunlight, with a hinged top you can open for ventilation on warm days and close at night. For extra warmth, line the base with bricks or jugs of water. These absorb heat during the day and release it slowly at night, protecting plants even when temperatures dip below freezing. A single cold frame can supply you with fresh greens months beyond the normal season. It's one of the most practical tools in the Amish garden. Our second-to-last Amish gardening secret transcends techniques and tools. It's about preserving and passing on garden wisdom. In Amish communities, gardening knowledge flows across generations, creating a living legacy of practical skills and observations. Document what works and what doesn't in your specific garden. Keep records of planting dates, varieties, weather patterns, and harvest results. Take photos throughout the seasons to capture both successes and failures. This documentation builds a personal growing almanac perfectly adapted to your unique conditions. More importantly, share your knowledge. Teach children or grandchildren to save seeds, prepare soil, and observe plant needs. Swap techniques with neighbors and exchange seeds from plants that thrive in your area. Join or start a community garden where expertise flows naturally between beginners and veterans. Our journey through Amish gardening wisdom concludes with perhaps their most powerful practice, viewing the garden as a gift rather than a possession. This gratitude-centered approach transforms not just results, but the entire gardening experience. Amish gardens reflect stewardship rather than ownership. Each plant, handful of soil, rainfall, and harvest is received with thankfulness rather than entitlement. This perspective shifts gardening from a battle against weeds, pests, and weather into a cooperative relationship with natural systems. In practice, this means celebrating small successes, accepting inevitable failures with grace, and finding joy in the process rather than focusing solely on results. It means sharing abundance with neighbors and returning garden waste to the soil as compost, completing natural cycles rather than extracting endlessly. When we approach gardens with gratitude, patience, and humility, they become not just food sources, but teachers and sanctuaries. From practical hacks to fish fertilizer and homemade sprays to deeper approaches centered on observation and gratitude, these Amish gardening techniques remind us that sometimes the oldest methods are still the best. Which one of these techniques will you try in your garden? Let us know in the comments section. If you've enjoyed this journey through Amish gardening wisdom, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Stellar Eureka for more insights into traditional knowledge that remains relevant today. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.